Tom from Creekside. Gonna give you the rundown on how an irrigation valve works. This is a cutaway of an actual Hunter PGV irrigation valve for demonstration purposes. So the water comes in here and it pushes against this diaphragm, and you may think this spring actually holds this diaphragm closed, but it does not. See, the surface area on top of the diaphragm is larger than the surface area of the water pushing up, and there's actually a small hole in the center of this diaphragm that water comes through, and it sits on top of the diaphragm and holds it closed. The spring actually assists in closing and fatigue. This ring here on the bottom that I'm moving back and forth, that actually is where this part of the diaphragm sits and seals against. It offers support so it doesn't wear out and break. This here is a manual bleed valve, and when you open that, that releases water pressure from on top of the valve, and it allows it to manually open because then the water pressure underneath is greater than the water pressure on top of the diaphragm, pushing it up, letting the water flow through. So you can see once it pushes up, it comes here and through and out the valve. Okay, so how does the valve work electronically? This is an electronic solenoid. The wires have been cut off, but it's got a coil of wires here, and it has this plunger right here. When the electric goes through the valve, it will lift the plunger, which lifts it off the seat. So there is a small sensing hole that is connected to the top of the diaphragm. When that comes up, it allows water through the small exhaust port, which you can see goes down here and exits out the bottom of the valve. So when the water is relieved from the top of the valve, that also relieves pressure, making the pressure on the top of the valve, or on the top of the valve diaphragm, less than underneath the valve. And the valve is allowed to open and continuously flows out. Now, when that solenoid stops and the spring above it pushes the piston back down and seals that relief hole to let it go out the exhaust port, the valve then closes and pushes it closed, and it holds it closed. That's a little bit on how an irrigation valve works. Let you get a close up of that. Nice, beautiful cutaway, okay?